welcome again to this YouTube channel. A while ago, I was pressed on, issues about marriage, family issues. It's a topic that it's unending, because people don't really have answers. There are lots of family. At times, people go out, they see this family looking so prim and proper. The children are so nice. The children is well behaved. The husband is like the Prince Charming, and the wife is like the beauty lady or one of these cartoons. But then when you get to their homes, it's like a cat and a rat issue, right? People go out to pretend as if everything is all spick and span, but back home, it is a holistic experience. And I have loads and loads of experience and stories from my life and life of people I've seen before that I'd like to bring your way. By the way, this is Eloy. That's my name. It's a strange name, but then my name is Eloy. That's it. But then before we go into it, let us just have a word of prayer. And so, Father God, we give you thanks. We bless your holy name. I thank you, Lord, for this YouTube channel. I started off with you because you are the beginning and the end. And I thank you, Lord, for the viewers. One viewer, all the viewers that are watching at this point in time. I thank you for keeping them. That is why they are well able to see this channel right now. And I ask, oh Lord, you give all of us open hearts, oh Lord, to understand and to help us in our homes, in our marriage, issues with our children, extended family members, and how to live a more peaceable life in our homes. I gotta tell you, I'm a wife, a mother, I'm a sister, an in-law, and so many other things you see only one person to be. And the same thing with you, mean that you have relatives. That all comes from marriage. And whether we like it or not, my marriage is not perfect. My family is not perfect. We pray every day for perfection. And it's not easy. I'll be talking about today on tough marriage and family issues with a lawyer. I'm going to talk about a part 1 of a series of this topic I entitled it Tough Husbands. We live in a world where we see a lot of women trying to rub shoulders with their husbands. The Bible made us to know that the husband is the head of the wife, just as Christ is the head of the church. So, a lot of women that want to rub shoulders with their husband to say, I'm also. No, the Bible clearly stated that the husband is the head of the wife. Anybody who sees anybody who has 2 heads, that creature becomes a monster, right? But then in the book of Proverbs chapter 14 verse 1, it says, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. So let us see what I want us to talk about. What makes you a wife, you the mother, you the home builder, could make you foolish. So I have this story I'd like to share with us. I titled it The Story of the Wife, the Voodoo Man, and the Lion. Years upon years ago, I bumped into this story where maybe at a marriage seminar, and that was back home in Africa, and a lot of women gathered and were looking for ways of how to handle their homes, to make their husbands, love them better and stuff like that. So we were told this story. And the story goes thus. There was a woman who had, let me just call her Mary. Mary was married to John. Let me just, for a name, because I can't remember their names. Mary was married to John, and they were like, all lovely doubly, like the Prince Charming and the princess kind of marriage. But then after the marriage was over, after everybody had gone, after she had the first child, the second child, and then she was now losing weight and becoming, suddenly the husband was not there again. Suddenly he didn't want her. Suddenly everything she does or she do at home is now irritable. Suddenly he doesn't want to even sleep with his wife doesn't want to eat her food, and then he beats her, yells at her, and then she's no longer enjoying the marriage. And of a truth, when after the whole ceremony, everybody goes, before you know it, people change during marriage. You know, when people are courting, they put on their sheep uniform. You know, they hide all those teeth, all those wolf teeth. But time goes into the marriage. Before you know it, they remove the uniform and they show you who they really are, right? But then this was the case of Mary. But then because she didn't know the right source, one person led to the other, carrying her problem from point A to point B, and they showed her a voodoo man's house. That go there, go and meet this voodoo man. He's going to give you some concoction that you're going to prepare, and then you make your husband love you the way he used to. And that brings us to the story of the wife, the voodoo man, and the lion. Yes, she was now introduced to this voodoo man, and the day came, she went to meet this man. And as the story goes thus, as you see, she met Baba. For the sake of clarity, let's just call the voodoo man Baba. She met Baba, and she said, "My daughter, what brought you here?" And she knelt down and said, "Oh, my husband is this, my husband is terrible, he beats me, he yells at me, doesn't take care of me, he doesn't love me anymore." And the man said, "What do you want me to do?" He said, "I want you to make a concoction. I want you to make me a potion or something that I can sprinkle on his food or use on myself to make my husband always love me." Baba said, "You say your husband is tough, yes. Your husband is wicked, yes. Your husband is cruel, yes. Doesn't listen to you, yes. All that. Okay, I'm going to make the potion for you. But first of all, you are going to need eggs of an ostrich. You are going to get the tail of a tortoise. You are going to buy," he listed so many terrible things that seemed difficult. But the most important one that he said that was the key ingredient was the whiskers of a lion. The whiskers of a lion. Oh, she said, Baba, what, this is too difficult. He said, "Well, you are in a difficult situation yourself. So if you need it, go get the items. As soon as you're ready with all the items, I'm going to make the potion for you." Well, off she went. It took her time. She needed money, and she wasn't getting money from her husband again, so she got a job. She got a menial job, and she gave herself lots and loads of overtime so that she could get money to start buying some of the ingredients. But she managed. It took her like 3 months. She got all the ingredients, remaining the whiskers of a lion. For that now, she now had to travel to the zoo in another state. Getting to the zoo, she studied the lion and noticed that this lion was not well fed. Just because back in Africa, not like here in the States, they don't take care of their animals. They don't take care of their wildlife. So she noticed that this particular lion was thin and malnourished. So the first thing she got herself doing, she would go day one, she got a goat, slaughtered it, and then she was throwing the meat to the lion. The lion would eat and then look at her and she'll go. She did this for close to 3 days. Just throwing it. I take that back, Adwa, not 3 days. 3 weeks non-stop. Coming and throwing meat to the lion. Then after those 3 weeks were over, she started noticing that this lion was waiting for her at the cool of every evening, because she comes usually between 5 and 6. She will come. This lion now, after 3 weeks, was waiting for her, was looking forward to her. By the way, the lion started putting on weight. You understand? When she got there, she noticed that this lion was waiting for her after 3 weeks. She gave the lion the meat. It ate and was still watching her. She left. The next day, the lion was still there waiting for her. She did this for the next few days. Then, After some time, she now took another step to open the gates, of course with the permission of the zookeeper. She opened the gates and got in and noticed that the lion did not hurt her. When she got in, she gave the lion the meat. The lion ate. And then, after eating, it now sat down. The way lions, gloriously sit down. She noticed that it was nourished. She noticed that it was now adding weight, and then its mane was coming out. It was looking good. And the hardness of the lion's eyes was now like more of trusting. It didn't hurt her. It didn't look aggressive anymore. Then the next day she came. The lion was there waiting for her, kind of excited to see her. She got in for the second or the third time, fed the lion, and then she sat down. After lion ate, guess what? It went to sleep. And as it slept, she lifted its head. It didn't react. She put its head on her thigh, on her laps. It didn't do anything. And then she started caressing this lion. And the lion slept on. So it was at this point she took out her scissors and cut off the whiskers. She traveled back home. In a hurry, she traveled back home. I did the most impossible stunt. I have done it. And she gave the whiskers and all the remaining ingredients to Baba, the voodoo man. And the voodoo man looked at the whiskers and said, "How did you get this?" She now narrated her ordeal, step by step, up to the point where the lion trusted her completely, to the point that it allowed her put its head on her laps, and then the caressing, everything. Then the man said, "Okay, the charm is finished. The spell, the potion is done." She now said, "Baba, what do you mean? I expect you to put all the ingredients and cook something and what." She now said, "No. The potion was the whiskers. Whatever it took you to make a hungry, dangerous animal, powerful, dangerous animal, to trust you, to believe in you, to love you enough to put its head on your thigh, that you are able to cut out its whiskers. That is the portion you need. Go back home and do the same to your husband. Go back home and do the same to your husband." Most men are like lions, and they're also like babies. That lion was able to trust you. Go back to make your husband trust you. That lion was able to soften its eyes towards you, because it saw you, it saw food, it saw hope, it saw life. Do the same towards your husband. What are those things that you deny your husband of? That he has grown so thin because you deny him. Go back and start doing those things, just as you used to, doing when you were courting him. And with that and so many more, a voodoo man was advising this married woman. And she went back home to do same to her husband. What am I trying to say here? It reminds me of Samson in the Bible. Samson was a powerful man. Remember, he killed a lion with his bare hands. He killed thousands of warriors with the jawbone of an ass. It was even recorded they used a lot of diabolical things to get Samson, but they could not. But it took a woman who was able to understand him, who won his trust. Yes, Delilah did some bad things because she ended up betraying him. That wouldn't be your case. Well, I'm talking about getting your husband to love you, getting your husband to trust you, getting your husband to believe in you, getting your husband into shape how you want him to be by feeding him, taking care of him, making him feel like the king he is of his house. His house is his little kingdom where he is the king and you're. It reminds me of Samson in the Bible. Samson was a powerful man. Remember, he killed a lion with his bare hands. He killed thousands of warriors with the jawbone of an ass. It was even recorded they used a lot of diabolical things to get Samson, but they could not. But it took a woman who was able to understand him, who won his trust. Yes, Delilah did some bad things because she ended up betraying him. That wouldn't be your case. Well, I'm talking about getting your husband to love you, getting your husband to trust you, getting your husband to believe in you, getting your husband into shape how you want him to be, feeding him, taking care of him, making him feel like the king he is of his house. His house is his little kingdom where he is the king and you are his queen. During part 2, we're going to talk about so many other lessons. During part 2, I'm going to also share with you how, when I just started having children, how a woman came to meet me with a concussion. They call it kaya mata. She advised me, come, let us go and do this. Let me pay so and so amount of money. I'll tell you my answer to her. And I'll also tell you about a woman whom we witnessed who put her husband in a bottle. Literally. There are a lot of evil things happening out there, women. There are lots of evil things happening out there, men. But this will come in the next part, in part 2 of this series, Tough Husband, and how you can do to deal with that, because, and what I was able to do to help my marriage, and what was the outcome of this other woman who put her husband in the bottle, and she showed another fellow woman. I'll tell you all about it in the part 2. Thanks for watching.